Um, and yeah, if anyone feels comfortable or safe to share like what they have tried before they came to Bhakti, maybe just to start a little discussion.
I can tune in because I have a quiet moment.
Sure.
Before I came to Bhakti, I was also doing mantra meditation, but silently, like within my mind. I had one Christian mantra that one of my teachers at school gave me. So
Wow.
it's like a Greek Christian like prayer, and it's also like a prayer to be engaged in service. So like I never really did silent meditation, anything like this. I always had like mantra
Wow,
silent
that's
within my mind.
fascinating. Wow, that's really powerful. How long did you do that for?
I think I was introduced to the mantra. I must have been about 16 or 17, and then probably for about a
Wow,
year or a year and a half, I was doing
amazing.
like this.
Amazing. That's incredible. And does anyone else, did they try any other types of meditation before they came to Bhakti?
Well, for me, it was not Bhakti was kind of my first introduction to meditation. I maybe tried
Wow.
silent for a little bit, but that didn't really work. And then I got introduced to Bhakti.
Yeah, silent is hard, eh?
Yeah.
It's really challenging. And what about, would anyone else like to share? Achutananda Prabhu, would you like to share anything? It's okay.
Hi, Bob. Can you hear
Um,
me?
Yes.
yeah, I can hear you. Hare Krishna.
Hi,
Jai.
Bob.
Hare Bol.
Before I met the devotees, before I met the devotees, I did try quite a lot of things. I tried Reiki. I
Awesome.
tried um these prayers I was actually getting into a lot of New Age stuff. So I was trying a lot of New Age things. I was trying meditation, also prayers to archangels. I was listening to channelings.
Oh,
Yeah, I experimented with a lot of things before I found the devotees.
yeah, same. Yeah, very much the same. That's awesome. And what about you, Carlo Prabhu?
Oh, I studied at the Catholic University, but they have nothing about meditation. They just did intellectual thing like study verses in the Bible. And in Milan,
Okay.
we have a very nice Dharma center, and it was also fascinating about the Buddhism, the Tibetan Buddhism.
So you're like a philosopher then?
No, I'm the.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Fascinating, yeah.
Because that's one way to cut through the ignorance of the mind, all the emotions that come up. If you've got that knowledge there, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Toshini? Would you like to share anything?
Hey Krishna.
Hey, Krishna.
Well, I grew up in Bhakti, so
Wow,
I guess
amazing.
my sorry about the baby crying again. Um, I tried a few things to be honest because I was very interested in in healing, the inner child and stuff. So I saw a lot of
Awesome.
other things. I can't remember really what it was. And then I met
Oh,
my husband, and he told me about he's a devotee, and then he was telling me about how devotees are doing this, and I was really impressed because I always wondered are devotees doing this healing, this inward healing journey, and so yeah, found him and he started talking about it. But I grew up in Bhakti and it was never really spoken about as I was growing up. It was just more
yeah.
like yeah, it was very subtle, I guess, too subtle for me to pick up. So,
For
yeah.
sure, because bhakti is very much like a pop culture. We've only been around in the West for 50 years, even though it's Gaudiya Vaishnavism it's ancient, but it's like a pop culture for us. So if we don't have that strong emotional connection within our culture, within our family dynamic, then it can be really challenging to see how that's applied to bhakti. It can be yeah, it's a journey. That's for sure. It's definitely a journey. Would anyone else like to share, dear Krishna Prabhu? Anything that you tried, any meditation practices you tried before you came to bhakti?
No, Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
No, I haven't tried anything other than chanting Mahamantra. I've been
Awesome.
a serious chanter for, let's say, definitely 5 years, a little bit more. But the reason I'm interested in your talk is I'm an active member of Karuna Care. I don't know if anyone
wonderful.
knows
Yes, Joy.
Karuna
Yes.
Care.
Mhm.
And so I am trained. I'm a trained chaplain under Karuna Care, and where
Fantastic.
and where we talk about and we deal directly with the distraction in meditation, right? Which
Yep.
may be because of you didn't deal with the trauma that you've had, your loss that you've had, which we all have had, one or the other or many. And therefore I was interested in your experience with bhakti as to how you deal with it. So yeah, so
Sure.
yeah, I didn't try any other meditation, but I'm trying and I'm hoping I can meditate on Mahamantra better and better as we go along. Thank you.
Went straight to the source. That's fantastic, Jai. And it's beautiful. I love your service. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's nice to see when devotees are getting more and more into supporting that on the emotional level, because yeah, it's so needed. The more we progress into Kali Yuga, oh my goodness, everyone's just so mentally, emotionally unwell. So it's just really, really nice to see devotees taking care in that way. And we can't always be like myself. I'm not, I'm like 2.5 hours from a temple. So, oh, Achutananda's getting a hug. That's so sweet. Yeah, so it can be very challenging to, to connect. So when we have that service that engages us with others, it's really within the heart, connecting in the heart, it's really powerful. It's really powerful. And I hope I can say something of value for you, Prabhu. So did anyone else like to share anything? Sharon, not sure if you're there, if you wanted to share anything, any meditation practice.
Hello. I'm sorry I
Hello.
joined late. We've moved from Zoom to Teams and it was a little bit hard to get in.
No worries.
I am an Ashtanga yogi, and so asana, pranayama, and silent meditation. I live in Sydney. I've had 2 trips to India. I've been to Mysore. So silent practice is what resonates with me, I think. I can see through watching my son the benefits of bhakti and kirtan. So yes, I'm Billy's. Oh, he's not Billy here. He's so I follow and I am in awe of everything that I've seen my son.
So your son's
How
Uru?
much I've seen, yes, but watching how
Welcome.
he
So sweet.
how he's evolving and the service that he does, I'm very proud and very pleased to see how that resonates with him. So I'm not I haven't done a lot of mantra meditation. I haven't done a lot of kirtan, but I can see the benefits of doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh, you must be so proud of him. That's incredible. He's definitely such a special soul. Of course, it's kind of a natural response for a good mum. Definitely, definitely. That's beautiful, and I can very much relate. Look, I did a lot of silent meditation. I would sit for hours and hours in silence. I personally really loved it. But yeah, when I found the mantra, I was just quite shocked as to the result, and yeah, just the profound difference. But just to connect with you, Sharon, I can definitely relate to that, and it's still definitely part of my practice, my daily practice, the silent meditation as well. So that's beautiful. Thank you all so much for sharing. It's Shoya. Is that how I pronounce your name? Would you like to share anything about your meditation practice? It's okay if you don't want to. So what's next, Deva? Sorry, I kind of took over there. I just really wanted to connect with everyone.
Yeah, there's still Raul, if he would like to share.
Okay, sorry.
And then we can get into trauma, the definition, if you like.
Sure. So have you done any other types of meditation, Rahul?
I actually did Art of Living Sudarshan Kriya. I felt that it wasn't that helpful to me, and I felt them very, you can say, a very profit-making organization, and I felt this is something spiritual, or this should be more a selfless service, and that touches the heart. And once I joined ISKCON, I have been connected ever since. It's a very selfless service mood I see in the ISKCON society. Although I can see there is a lot of expansion in terms of centers, and it's a lot of there's a lot of money engagement and all. But I like to keep my spiritual practice more, not deal with all such other things. And I'm sticking with ISKCON since more than a decade now, and I'm finding deep joy in spiritual practice. So somebody recently from Maharishi Ayurveda Yoga, they have this transcendental meditation, silent meditation. Someone approached me and told me if I could join their courses. I just said, no, I'm not interested. They have some courses in Rishikesh and across the globe as well. So I haven't yet tried any silent meditation. But since past 2 years, I am living in Sikkim. We have a lot of Buddhist monks around, and they have their own mantras like Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Tutar, something, and of all those sorts. I'm not sure what is the exact benefit of all those things. I'm just trying to humbly take association of devotees online, not so many devotees in my place, and just stay strong in my devotional practice, chant 16 rounds. So I'm very grateful to Chant Now team for organizing sessions from time to time.
And we're so happy to have you with us, Rahul.
Thank you.
You're a good man.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, what a beautiful mood you have of service. That's incredible. So fixed. That's wonderful. You just come straight to what your heart desires. I also tried Kriya, and and I actually met the devotees a week later after connecting with the Kriya yogis, and just, it didn't touch my heart in the same way. So it sounds like we have a similar experience there, and what a beautiful mood you have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's go into a little bit of a definition about trauma, which I think some of you are probably already aware of. It's like a hot topic. It's a trending topic in Kali Yuga at the moment. It's very, very popular. But I think it's popular because, as a culture, like just in terms of a Western culture, we didn't have a language to actually express our emotional world. I can see you nodding your head there, Deva. It's like, it's very much, we didn't have that language. Like, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and having your emotional needs met was just not a thing. It just wasn't something that was acknowledged. Like maybe in other cultures it was. But for me, it definitely wasn't. And I've, studied and researched it a lot. And really, we're just coming into that age now. And for you mystics that are into the chakra system, which is obviously, I'm an energy healer, so it's part of my language. I hope that's okay that I use it. But we call it the heart chakra time, where we're actually coming in to the language of the heart and being able to explore our emotional world and the language around it and what it means. So anyway, that's a little bit of my speculation as to why it is so popular at the moment. But the issue is that we, as a culture, need to learn to move out of it and move beyond it as well, and not identify with it. And that's part of another reason I got into it as well, and the importance of having that connected with spirituality, so that we can have some tools to move out of it. So basically, a trauma means something that happens too fast, too much, or too soon for us to be able to process it emotionally in real time. Nothing is inherently traumatic. It's what we make it mean. So it can be absolutely anything that's traumatic for us. And we can have a traumatic event, like a one-off event, like a woman giving birth. It can be very traumatic, or the loss of a loved one can be extremely traumatic. Or we have something called complex PTSD. So that's usually childhood trauma, where you've experienced the same trauma over and over and over and over and over again. And so this really impacts us massively as an adult. So basically what happens is in that moment of the trauma, our consciousness becomes split or fragmented, and it splits off from the conscious whole. And the hippocampus, or the part of our brain that timestamps information when it happens in real time, that doesn't happen when we experience trauma. So when our body and our mind is perceiving that we're in a traumatic event, and we're actually not, but it's perceiving that we are. So our nervous system is going into overdrive, and we're going to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So I'll give you an example of what I mean, because it is very scientific, and it is very, just very scientific and analytical. So I'll use myself as an example. I had narcissistic abuse from both parents. So my emotional needs were not met, basically at all, very little. And so growing up, I made it mean that I had to meet everyone else's emotional needs before I could feel safe. So when I moved out of the house, I of course attracted the same experiences. So I moved into a house where there was a couple, and they were getting divorced or separating. And if there was any emotional instability in the house, or something was happening, I would try and fix it. So that means I could stay safe in where I was. Yeah. So does that make sense to anyone? Does that resonate? I don't want to be continually talking if it doesn't resonate.
It resonates for me. I don't know about anyone else. But yeah,
I can get a thumbs up from Achitananda Prabhu. Yeah,
Carlo.
Yeah, it's not something that's like easy to talk about or relevant, and not that it's not relevant, but it's very, I like to talk about it in a scientific and analytical way, because it helps to not enmesh ourselves in the emotion of it, and really
like
understand
detach.
actually what's going. Anyway, there's lots of different tools for that, but yeah, it helps to kind of really understand what's going on, what's happening there. So is anyone aware of their trauma response? Like, is anyone aware if they're really like fawning or freezing, or is anyone aware of them? Might be something.
Well, for me, it's I think it's different in different situations. Like sometimes I noticed, like once when I was younger, I was robbed, and in that specific moment, I froze. But then in other situations, I tend to have maybe a fight response, or it varies depending on the type of event that happens. Maybe that's also something that happens to others.
Absolutely. And I just got a message from Uri as well. It was saying, is anger a response? And yeah, I would say that would be, in fight mode, definitely in fight mode. So we go on the defense, which without generalizing, usually men go into dismissive, avoidant attachment style, so really defensive and pushing away. I won't go into attachment styles in this, because otherwise we'll be here forever. But it's very common to just kind of push away and fight, for sure. And I can also relate to to fighting as well, and freezing, for sure. And Uri's just asked what fawning means. So basically it's people pleasing, or if you've heard of that term, codependency. It's very much fawning. So really you're having to please everyone and make everyone else happy around you before you can feel safe and happy in yourself. So we can kind of see just based on that point, how that can really be connected with bhakti, right? How we can actually think that me pleasing everyone all the time is actually a service, and it is. We're still getting benefit for that. Sorry, Dira, I think you put your hand up. Did you want to ask something?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm in and out. I didn't.
No need to be sorry.
I wasn't there when you defined trauma, but recently I learned this definition of trauma. There are two trauma. One is a big T trauma and one is a small T trauma. Big T trauma is something, traumatic event that happens, right? The small T trauma is something that happens internally. For example, when the baby is growing up, as a child, if the mother didn't pick up, so that's an event, that's a big T trauma. But if the child then in his or her mind determines that, oh, I'm not loved, if I cry, I would not be loved, so I have to stop. So that is called a small T trauma, and that is the trauma. This small T trauma is the one which impacts us, and that you can do something about as well. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that in the discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. No, thank you, because it's exactly what we make it mean as well. It's like I was saying in the introduction, it's like nothing is inherently traumatic. It's something that happens too much, too fast, or too soon that we can't process. And it's like with the baby, not being picked up and not feeling that emotional connection as it needed. Absolutely, we make it mean something. It always comes back to us, because in the state of 0 to 8, we're actually in a state of like hypnosis, and we're just absorbing everything, but we're also incredibly narcissistic. Everything is about us. So we're making it mean something, that it's our fault. Okay, the parent is upset all the time, or they're unwell all the time, or so it means that there's something wrong with us, that I'm inherently unlovable, I'm inherently unworthy. But of course, as we grow, we know that it's not, and we can logically see that it's not, but emotionally it doesn't make sense for us. And that's, again, that's really complex PTSD with the childhood. But I understand that different practitioners will have different names for it, and it's beautiful. I love your expression of that, dear Prabhu. Thank you. So I'm trying to remember where were we, David? Can you remember where we were?
So you were just talking about fawning and people pleasing, and how in the society it can be seen as service, which it is, but it may not always be so beneficial emotionally.
That's it. Hey, that's it. So really what we're saying is that, I'm unsafe, or, it could be I'm unworthy, I'm defective, coming back to the 21 core wounds that are there. But we could be making it mean something, especially if it's a fawning response. So usually if we're by ourselves, there will be a lot of instability emotionally, like we'll need to have others around us and be doing something to feel that stability emotionally. We'll have like low self-worth or self-esteem, anxiety, depression, things like that. That's how you can recognize if you're in that. For me, it took me a very, 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 very long time to really understand that that's what I was doing. It was very hidden for me. Can anyone else relate to that fawning trauma response?
Yeah.
It's definitely, I think it's a bigger one among women. I can see the men are not maybe not relating so much with that one. Perhaps it's more like a fight mode, or perhaps it's just not even, super conscious. It could just be more of an interest in the topic itself, more than an understanding of what's needing to understand what's going on inside.
And in the text, in the chat, Achutananda did you say that he also has experienced freeze and fawn?
Oh, sorry, Prabhu, I missed that one. Yes, okay. Yes. It's it is really common. I just find it so common in the devotee community, and particularly, and we'll get into it a little later, but is spiritual bypassing, you know, so abandoning your emotional needs and suppressing them, in, you know, and just connecting spiritually. And again, that's what I did for a very long time as well. So yeah, so I think we've explained, yeah, so I guess we talk a little bit about the impacts of it. I think we kind of already went over it a little bit, but yeah, like the impact is, you know, the more common ones are like anxiety and depression. Those we kind of experience that, like it might fluctuate. Again, for me, I wasn't conscious of it. I just thought that was normal. That's how I lived my life for a very long time until I met the devotees. Yeah, until I was 24. It very much went on like that, until that awareness came in, because as we know, that spiritual practice can have that awareness, like bring that awareness to what's happening in our inner world. So yeah, just the social isolation, low self-worth and self-esteem. Would anyone like to share like how their trauma responses kind of impacted them, maybe in relationships? It's really a big one, especially if you have more complex PTSD. It can be really challenging to have stability within relationships. And I noticed dear Krishna Prabhu just sharing that the big T and little t was from a particular doctor. Sorry, I just missed the name.
Dr. Gabor.
Gabor, yes.
Gabermate.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful.
You know, one thing that I will say is that sometimes it can be very difficult to maybe label trauma or trauma response in my personal experience, because then it also brings up the questions of like, am I allowed to actually be feeling these things? You know, is what I'm experiencing valid, that I'm saying, you know, that I'm feeling anxious or depressed, or that this is, you know, unhealthy. So that's one thing. It's just that feeling of like,
yeah,
is this actually real?
Okay, so it's more, is this something that's actually happening to me? Is this something can this be labeled, you know, anxiety or depression? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah,
also spoken to a few people who also experience that, and it's like, and that's also quite a difficult point to get past, because like it requires a lot of acceptance.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, you're right. I do remember going through that. Yeah, most of the clients that I work with, it's very much, you know, they're very aware of it. And I think, you know, for me as a devotee, I think it was hard to embrace that, because it wasn't, for me, I didn't feel that it was a socially accepted thing to say, okay, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling depressed. And again, that's nothing against our bhakti community or our culture or what Srila Prabhupada has created. It's more of a reflection of just our inner circle. Like I remember having a lot of, you know, young girls, and I would connect with them, and they're saying, you know, this is the first conversation I've had where I feel like safe to talk about my emotional world, you know, like it's okay to be able to talk about it and express these things. And so I think it is important to try and seek that out in our community. And it's great. It sounds like you're doing that, you know, you're doing that, and you're able to recognize, yes, this is something that's taking place and that's going on. And because if we keep ignoring it and repressing it, it's going to come up somewhere else in our lives at the end of the day. And take it from me, someone who's really good at suppressing it for a long time and it came out, you know, it really had to come out. I just completely broke myself. I was in book distribution, traveling all over the world, and just completely broke down. So yeah, it's so important. So it sounds like you're on the right track to addressing it.
Rahul's got his hand up.
Yes, Rahul, would you like to share?
You're
your
muted.
microphone. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to share. I would like to give a few examples. I can't surely say what was trauma and what wasn't, but it wasn't a very good feeling. So some months ago, I traded I did some trading kind of futures, and it was a very traumatic experience for me to see my money go in thousands of dollars up and down. It was like really giving me mood swings and mind everything. I could not focus on Krishna at all. I was praying, please let it go in my favor. I lost a lot of money that way. That was a very traumatic experience, and that was something happening too quick to me. Like in a matter of few days, a lot of money going out. And there is also an example of a slow depression building up. It happened twice to me. It was both the time the same issue. I just kept on working, overwork, like 60, 70 hours. I'm a freelancer. I just kept on working, no socialization. First time it happened during COVID lockdown in Mayapur. So I did not have much. I'm being single, and I was not having any association. I was not going outdoors due to COVID restrictions, and it was a very depressing kind of feeling until the lockdown ended and I could move out. And again, it happened, like I stayed a couple of years in the new place. I was not having much devotee association until now. Maybe it was my karma, or I'm not sure, but now I'm having abundant association, like from Chant Now, others, devotees also having online Zoom interactive sessions. So it's no longer there, but it was a slow, gradual depression kind of build up when you get into lonely and just. So these are the two examples. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's
Can this
really,
be classified as trauma? Over time, things happening, it's also trauma, or only something happening too quick? I'm not sure how to define.
I feel like that would just be massive unmet needs. And it's a really, thank you for bringing up the financial aspect, because it doesn't matter how kind of evolved we are. I find we all kind of weave our psyches and consciousness into money. And when we overspend money, how we become emotionally impacted, and our conscious can become impacted. Good night, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us. I just got a little sign there. But yeah, it's a really good one to bring into the conversation. I wouldn't say necessarily it could be a trauma response in the sense that maybe you had an experience growing up where there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough there. So when you do see it, it's very triggering. I can see you nodding your head. So then in that sense, yes. Yeah. And then even more, the financial situation would be weaved into your psyche and your consciousness and impact your emotional world and your consciousness. So it's really important to see that's really great insight that you have. And I would just be like, the key is to understand what needs is it actually meeting for me to be on the stock market, or what needs is it actually meeting for me to have devotee association or to not have devotee association. That's really the question that helps us to connect, because it is all about understanding what we need at the personality level to be able to function, keep body and soul together and healthy while we're here, and move forward and keep yeah, keep balanced as much as possible. But I hope that that answered your question in terms of finances. And I think you said it in lockdown, it was just very isolating. And it sounds like your emotional needs weren't getting met at all, and you're just feeling really isolated and alone, and understandably so. You know, it's like a whole tribal thing that we all went through. You know, it was just such an intense time, so much. Yeah, wasn't it? I guess
It really
yeah, it
was.
was. Oh my goodness. Yes, it really
And
was. Any sort of, yeah, sorry.
and the like if you reflect back, I don't know if it happened for everyone else, but the time space, it was like it doesn't even feel real that so many years passed. It's like, you know, sometimes I get shocked that it's actually like next year is going to be 2024, and it's like a lot of time has passed, but it kind of just went into a vacuum.
Yeah, I hear you. I totally hear you. It was a very interesting time for everyone, you know, really being yeah, everything just changed and impacted all of us. It's not like we were going through our own individual karma and experiencing our own particular struggles and suffering. It was very much a collective karma that we're all going through and all experiencing together. So it was very, very profound.
I just wanted you, Raul brought it up, and you mentioning it again, karma. I often hear devotees, if they're going through something, they'll mention, "Oh, this is my karma," and philosophically, we can understand that point, but can you maybe discuss how that may not be extremely beneficial emotionally for us?
Yeah, sure. It's a really good question. I mean, it comes back to intent. I think dear Krishna Prabhu is leaving us for the evening. So thank you, Prabhu, for coming. Yeah, so it depends on the intention, you know, like what intention is coming from your heart when you say that. Are you actually inside feeling like, oh man, this is my karma and I really don't know what to do about it. I'm really frustrated about this. And oh, how much longer is this going to go on for? Or are you actually saying it in a mood of surrender and acceptance and deep connection with Krishna? Like I so trust that you've got me through this. And I trust that this is going to end. It's not going to be forever. Yeah, it's very much the intention, whether we're suppressing our emotional world or whether we're using it to connect with Krishna. Yeah, does that make sense? Does that resonate?
Yeah.
So it's very much about the intention.
So what happens when it's more on a mental platform, when we're understanding that this is my karma, but it's kind of like we're not actually connecting and trying to focus on what we need, and like how to heal ourselves, and it's just like we're accepting these traumatic events and not helping ourselves improve emotionally.
So are you saying when we're more just focused on the mental platform? Is that what you mean?
Sorry.
That's okay. It's such a complicated subject matter. I find we can get really just confused or overwhelmed. I'm not saying that you're confused, but it can be overwhelming. Yeah, it can be totally overwhelming. So I think when we it's really just when we are in that trauma response of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, we are on the mental platform. Like it's very much a cognitive bodily experience. We won't be in our body and we won't be connected with our heart. So I feel like we talk a little bit about spiritual bypass?
A little bit, but not really.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe at this point, I'd just love to tune in, and I feel like a lot of people are here to understand what is trauma, which is fantastic. And I hope that we have, you know, we have covered it, but I really want to make sure that everyone here, I'm kind of answering their questions as to, you know, what they want to explore in terms of understanding how it's impacting their spiritual life, maybe how maybe it's impacting your relationships, and how maybe we can explore some ways to move through that. I've got a lot of free resources that I'm happy to share. But would anyone like to share, you know, how trauma response is impacting their life, or anything specific that you would like to know? There's just so many things that we could explore.
Yeah, like, so if anyone wants to, if there's something that they want to take from this, to share what it is, yes? What they want to take from this session. Achyutananda Prabhu,
or Shaurya.
Shaurya, Carlo.
Hare Krishna, everyone to the
Hare
community.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Welcome.
so I think I've spoken to this with Urugya a lot of time. I was a bit shy to speak in front of a lot of people, but anyways, it has to come out.
We're all shy here, and we're all family here. Understand?
Yeah, so like I'm from India. I live here in Amsterdam for work. I'm working here, but my like being from India, you know, it's like a lot of people follow the different gods. They worship a lot of people, different deities, and I came into Krishna consciousness because of some kind of a relationship that was not working on, and that was like very much, I was really traumatized by it, and I spoke to Ruge a lot of times about it, and he really helped me. But
It's wonderful.
I should say those kind of things are kind of a disaster, or I don't know, like it can reshape a person, you know, it can make you things that you are not supposed to do, because the mental level or the mental realm, we are just not able to focus on what to do. It's like I don't know. I don't know. Like that feeling is really different, and it's been like a long time, but still, that kind of emotions I still had for the other person, and still somehow surviving and taking the holy name. So somehow.
What emotions come up for you, if you don't mind me asking?
Sometimes, mostly when I'm like maybe alone, or it happens in the public as well. I go to one of my maybe like kind of fascinations, or some of my theories which I have created, which the reality, you know about the mind. The mind likes to create different fantasies, different things, and it goes to one of those realities, which not reality, the fascination, the dream, which I thought have happened but didn't work out. So those kind of feelings built up, and then I am sometimes like emotionally, or physically, mentally, like totally completely blank, you know, just sit there and
Usually when we create a fantasy world, I used to do that a lot. Usually when we do that, we're just trying to avoid the emotional pain that's sitting there. And we just don't, we don't know how to explore it. We don't know how to sit with it. And for men in particular in our culture, particularly in the West, I'm not sure how much, you know, how it's like in India. But it's very hard, and not for all men, obviously, but for a lot, it's very challenging to accept that emotional world, because men are more logical, whereas women, it's logic and emotion all the time. And for men, it's either logic or emotion, one or the other. So it's totally, it's totally understandable that it's a little bit harder to access it.
Yeah, on the same time, it's like really very hard to let it go. You know, and mostly it strikes when I'm alone, and most of the time, like back in India, we stay very close to our family, we stay very close to our friends, but here it's like no family, no friends, and when you're alone, these things come up. So to divert that attention, to channelize into something different else, it's really very hard as well.
Yeah, but did you understand what I was trying to say about sitting with those painful emotions, or do you just not feel that they're there?
Oh no, it's very painful if you just feel it again. It has some not good consequences. So I should say, so it's like the mind loves to wanders, and then when it starts wandering, it just goes into another direction, into another things, and then it wastes a lot of time, energy. So somehow I have to subdue the mind and bring it back to the focus now. Just don't follow that emotion. Like for me, I think it that way.
We can only work through it if we sit with the emotion. You absolutely have to have the right tools. You don't want to sit in it and dwell in it, and of course, right?
Yeah.
But the only way through is to actually sit with the emotion and embrace it. So I have this framework that I created in my business. So it's understanding the higher self and the lower self, and all of our trauma and unmet needs and all of the things that we just don't understand. It usually comes from our lower self. And I think Toshinish was talking a little bit about the inner child. So yeah, the inner child and understanding that dynamic is definitely part of it. But learning how to embrace and accept and sit with those parts of us that we don't want to. We can't expect anyone else to if we don't accept those parts of us at the end of the day. Yeah. So sitting with it and even just letting it out, crying it out, or I know that might not be very masculine, but just crying it out, this sucks, this is not fair, I don't want to feel this way. I was just talking about this with a very good friend actually, and how important it is to be with that, and also give it a time frame. How long am I going to give myself to go through this, to heal this, to process this? Because it is, we don't want to be sitting in it. We don't want to be telling ourselves the same story over and over again and having the same emotions. It's exhausting, isn't it? It's frustrating. But I love your awareness. You're so aware of what you're doing. That's like half the issue solved right there.
Yeah, most of the time I'm aware of these things. I've spoken to Uruge a lot, but it's still there. Yeah,
And this is where
I kind of
sorry.
tried. I'm just saying I'll just try to go through all the things which you said, just trying to more accept it, formally accept it, maybe like that, or trying to speak it out, cry.
I think maybe what we can do in another session, like not today, but maybe we can go through step by step, what you can do, because it's actually really simple, but it just takes so much courage and so much strength. The steps are, great, they're so deep, but they're actually, healing is so simple, but it's just, we're so used to making it mean that particular thing, for me, if my husband responded in a particular way, I always made it mean I'm never going to be seen, I'm never going to be heard, I'm never going to be understood, I'm never going to be worthy of love. Every time I would tell myself that, all of those core wounds, boom, 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 straight away. Wow. Yeah. But then when you start to understand what's the story, and start to reframe the story around it, sit with the emotions around it and release it. But if you want to, we can definitely, not today, but we can definitely look at that if that's something that you'll want to do.
Sure, absolutely. I'll definitely get in touch with you regarding that. Yes.
Well, I thought we could do it as a group. Yes, you're welcome to, and I'm happy to share. There's lots of free material that I have, but I thought we could do it as a group. It might be fun.
Yeah, we can do it in the group. Yeah, that will be good as well. Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
Something that you said makes me wonder if there's other ways for people to explore or express their emotion besides crying, because I know for myself as well, crying is not like an ideal thing to do. So I know there's some places where they throw cutlery or they throw plates and break things. Is that also something that could help?
Yeah, so I think what we're talking about is anger, right? Is that like, ugh. So yeah, absolutely. I am, oh my goodness, no stranger to anger and frustration. Big part of my journey. So I can very much relate. And yeah, yes, it's if that's what you feel you need. I personally never found that at all helpful because it never addressed the emotion. It was just more a release. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, that if that's what resonates with you, yes, go and do that and see how it feels for you. But usually underneath is just so much grief, so much loss, so much just anguish because our needs are not being met and we don't know how to meet them. And it just becomes, yeah, so overwhelming and frustrating. And so when we address that at the core, then we can start having this relief. Like I was saying with my husband, he would say that thing. And as soon as I started meeting those needs, I wasn't triggered anymore. I wasn't frustrated anymore because I could understand, and I know that's what I need and I know how to meet that. And for me, it was emotional connection. It's all about that emotional connection. So once I started to understand that, yeah, does that, so you don't have to cry through that. I'm a big crier, so that's why I guess I've said that. But yeah, you don't have to. Maybe that's not part of the process for you.
Yeah. Well, it's 4 o'clock now. So if anyone needs to go, Lalita, I don't know if you have to go right now. But
I don't have to go, yeah.
But if anyone still has something that they want to ask Lalita or share, please feel free to unmute and say what it is that you want to.
Yeah, I understand.
I see
it's
that
not always.
Ashvin and Emily joined a little bit later. I don't know if there's something that you guys want to say.
Yeah, it's not always easy to talk about something so personal in a group. You know, you're welcome to reach out if you have any questions. And Emily, what would you like to share?
Hi Krishna, sorry for joining so late because I'm joining from Canada, so I got a bit
Happy
lost
to
in
have
my
you
thought
here.
Welcome.
No
So,
worries. Happy to have you.
So thank you so much for holding this Zoom talk and having us all here. I'm sorry I popped in late. I'm going through grief right now, and I kind of go back and forth through spiritual and then just being lost and feeling abandoned. So I think during this very sensitive time, what I'm discovering is just kind of at times going with it, going with what just feels good for me at the moment. So like take the rest when I need the rest because sometimes I'm really exhausted from a lot of sleepless nights. A lot of the flashbacks and feelings happen at nighttime, mostly for me. And I'm just trying to shake that off, but I realize now it's been like 2 months. I have not been able to shake this off. So I recently went to reach out to my doctor. I'm like, I need help, so reaching out for help. Those family and friends really can't process what I've been through because I've been a caregiver to my late father. So the whole caregiver experience was difficult for them. And then because I spent so much time with my dad, I think it was just not, it was just too surreal for them, his passing and so forth. So, anyways, I just thought I'd throw in 2 cents there, and this is where I'm at. So, reaching out for help. I got in touch with a wonderful counselor, and she's going to get back to me on resources, which is great. And just taking the rest when I need it, play kirtan as much as I need it. Well, we always need more kirtan in our lives, of course, and that's where I'm at right now. So thank you for allowing me to share.
That's beautiful. No, thank you for sharing. It sounds like you're doing everything to meet your needs and connect with yourself. And yeah, grief is a challenging one. I'm very sorry for your loss. Yeah.
Thank you,
So it happened very recently?
Yes, in June. Yes.
So recent. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and it sounds like part of it is not being able to understand or not being able to relate to anyone else about what you're going through.
Yes, there was some hospital neglect that happened there that kind of pushed my father to where he ended up not being in this world anymore. But it was a tragic, sudden, unexpected, and so I
I'm
witnessed
so
it
sorry.
all. And
Mm.
so, it's a new challenge, I think. Just trying to get over this. It's all so fresh. And then the question is how to come to terms with it. So then when I read the Bhagavad Gita, I'm very empowered. I was like, yeah, I got this. It's like, okay. But from the moment the Bhagavad Gita slips out of my mind or out of my hands, then I'm back like drowning again, right? Flailing around in the water, trying to figure out how to swim. But as soon
Yeah.
as the japa kicks in or kirtan kicks in, or from a moment like I'm no longer thinking like about
Yeah.
God and Krishna, and from the moment I stop thinking about that, oh my goodness, it starts up all over again. So yeah, it's a work in progress.
Can totally relate. I'm kind of getting a feeling like it's a fear of just being safe, fear of trying to keep safe and what safety means now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big one. Can definitely relate to that. And really, learning to reparent yourself, because the loss of a parent, it's like losing half of yourself. It's how I felt when my father passed. It was also very sudden. So yeah, really learning how to reparent yourself, because a parent is like a type of safety in this world, even though we have all this amazing knowledge and
Yes.
inspiration, right? It's like, how do we apply it? How do we apply it in real time to our experience? So really connecting, I would say, very much with those emotions, those feelings, but in a way that's like a child, like seeing that part of yourself as a child and how you can give to yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, I
Is it
feel like
too
a child
abstract?
all over again, though. Definitely,
Yes.
since he has parted. My mom parted a few years ago, and then dad did 2 months ago. So
Oh,
despite being
goodness.
an adult, I still feel like a kid, but I feel
Oh,
more of a kid in their absence now. So it's kind of relearning the world, revisiting places that are
wow.
very familiar to me, but now re-exploring that in their absence, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, Krishna's got both of you guys, but I'm still kind of drowning here at times, or at a loss, right?
Yeah.
So I just feel like a little bit abandoned, or yeah, just lost sometimes, So it's fresh, but
Yeah.
it's
It sounds like you're
processed.
doing everything that you can. You've got a really healthy, and just stable, secure mood around it. I can feel it. You're very aware, and yeah, it sounds like you're doing everything that you need to keep yourself safe and connected. But yeah, I would definitely say that inner child work and adult work, reparenting yourself, connecting with those parts, but not immersing into it. It's a real art. I definitely have some meditations. If you're interested, just reach out. Yeah, that was a big part of my journey as well. Huge, huge, huge part of the journey, especially with trauma. It's really important. Yeah. And unfortunately, counselors and psychologists and psychotherapists, they're pretty good. But usually, I'm not sure whereabouts you are in the world, but here in Australia, it's definitely not a common term of phrase. Yeah. So, and yes, Emily, I will share those for sure. Yeah. I hope that made sense. So Rahul, you had a question?
I'm sorry if I'm extending the session for some people, because I'm kind of free. I can talk, but I'm not sure if I should be speaking or taking anybody's time. I have a few words, maybe a question and a few thoughts based on what was discussed by the previous person. Is it okay?
Go for
We're
it.
here for you, for sure.
Thank you so much. The place where I'm living, people have a very good relationships with each other, their family bonding. So I'm away from my parents for more than a decade now. So I don't feel that much attached to my parents. So if somebody is saying like I feel very sad losing my parents and all, so or somebody here saying I lost my nearby friend or someone, I feel sometimes, oh, I should be preaching to them. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantra prap. You know, the kind of becoming seeing it as an opportunity to preach, but I feel maybe I'm lacking the maturity and I generally don't speak. But I can feel like, you know, it's everything is proportional to our attachments. Like for me, losing some money because I had worked a lot of hours on it. It is kind of, you know, austerity, tapasya, and seeing it go down the drain very quickly, it was kind of loss for me, and I felt it up. So similarly, somebody I saw, like I follow someone on social media like YouTube. That person like, you know, I have interacted with many people who say the relationship broke up, all this loss and all. So they somebody came to a dawning that once we feel we are a controller, we feel like we are controller, we dream and, you know, make plans like long-term goals, short-term goals, and things won't always happen as we desire to them to be happening. We are not God, we are not the ultimate controller. So it's kind of humbling realization, like, you know, especially for practitioners of Krishna consciousness. As for myself also, I'm realizing, you know, I don't know if I should be making any plans any longer or not, but I've come to realize, like, or have a feeling that I should live in the present, just enjoy my life, don't think too much about the future, be surrendered to Krishna, and he will just, he's the friend, he's the protector, he's the maintainer, he'll take care. I don't know if I may be a little impractical also, but I feel just relax and enjoy and don't worry. Everything will take place. Thank you.
Are you talking
Sorry
about
if
in
I speak.
relations to relationships, to just be detached, and is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we have to be very careful. You know, like it's always advised that we keep on.
Is it just me, or did the connection cut out with Raul?
Yeah, I'm not hearing it. Yeah. Oh, it's a shame.
Do something,
Oh,
and the loss of some attachments, or that will always be, the pain will be proportional to our attachments, be it any relation, or, you know, like I heard the two people talking about the relationships, like the two people who spoke prior to me, both having relationship loss, something very traumatic. So, you know, I try, you know, to think now how having a good sadhana, attachment to Krishna, so our material attachments will be gradually slackened, which is good. So if ultimately everything has to go at the time of death, so it's gradual preparation, becoming more attached to the eternal and losing attachment to the temporary. So at least for practical ourselves, we can do that by having a good sadhana. But
I think it depends on the person and what they're needing. You know, if you're someone who doesn't need a big social connection, or you don't feel the need to feel that connection with your family, then yes, you know, that's understandable. And I do understand what you're saying. Yes, the greater the attachment, the, you know, the bigger the pain, or the more the pain. But I try not to really see it in that way, because we are sentient beings, and, you know, bhakti is about attachment to higher, and our hearts are supposed to be broken open so that we can love more and we can understand God's love through us in those connections, in those relationships. When we get to the spiritual world, it is all about relationships. We are around people all the time. So it's, I think the more healthy we're able to, you know, have like healthy relationships in these bodies, I think that shows, and it's less about attachment and more about love and service. Like for me, it was always very painful to be around family. Family was literally the 7 areas of life. Family was at the bottom because it was very painful for me. It's a very painful experience. But when I was able to heal those anartas, heal those core wounds, then I could connect with them in a way that wasn't painful. I don't get a sense that that is your experience though, but I just wanted to mention that. Okay, Ashwin, Prabhu, thank you so much for joining us. It's, no worries. I'm sorry, Rahul, did you want to? I hope that made sense, what I shared.
Yeah, thanks so much. You know, you interact with different people, you get different thoughts, and it's always, I feel very, you know, I can say nice experience to deepen my learning, because 2 days ago I spoke to a brahmachari and he was just saying, oh, no family life, there is no meaning to it, just focus on Krishna consciousness. So I have to see for myself, everybody has to see for themselves their needs, like family is good, this is good, that is good, how much of wealth I should be, you know, trying to acquire, career, everything one has to see for themselves. Ultimately, we are all individuals.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Such a good response, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's a
You're
really good
absolutely
point.
right. Yeah,
A really
and how
good point.
to apply it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I also remember a few years ago, I'm not saying that I'm mature now, but I was much more immature back then, and there was a loss within my family, and my response was very similar to what Joel Prabhu said. I was sharing philosophy in a time of great grief for my family, and now in hindsight, that I understand that that was not the most compassionate thing to do. But I think that ultimately that needs to be something that we realize for ourselves in our interactions with others, what we also, once we connect a little bit more to ourselves, then it becomes a little bit easier to, you know, how would I want to receive love and compassion right now? What is it that I need, and am I able to give this to other people?
Oh, that's beautiful. It's definitely a sign of growth and advancement when we can when we can understand, you know, the difference between what someone else may perceive it to be as opposed to what we just want to share with them. Because sharing philosophy, I mean, it's like the best. It really cuts through, doesn't it? So powerful.
Emphasis on cutting.
Yeah. But we know that it cuts through that emotion, and it helps us, it lifts us. It's the best remedy ever. But for someone who's not on that path, it could be very just very cold, perhaps, you know, we don't know. So I really like that. That's a really good example. Very mature, very, very beautiful. Chitananda Prabhu, would you like to share anything?
Yeah, thanks. What I've been hearing, what I understand so far, is that these traumas that we have that affect our relationship with devotees around us and our ability to perform service, sounds like those things are actually they're actually they are our challenges and obstacles, I think, for actually improving our relationship with devotees around us. I think Krishna is putting us in situations with devotees, specifically to help bring up our traumas and address them, because my feeling is that a lot of these traumas are actually part of what we call anartas, is unwanted qualities in the heart that actually interrupt our bhakti. How can you have a relationship with Krishna if if you're afraid of connecting or of opening up emotionally. So what I've been getting from the session so far is that you bring in awareness to the fact that we have to deal with our traumas because they're there for a reason, and if we ignore them, they cause problems for us. So I'm happy to be here because I know I have a lot of traumas, and I'm very keen to clear them. I'm happy to be here. So thanks for having me. It's been really nice to listen to you guys, and I'll probably be here next time too.
Thank you so
for
much.
sharing
That was really
Peru.
nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful, really beautiful conclusion, and I'm so happy that I could share something that resonated with you, because it's yeah, it can be hard to get that message across, and I think it takes a lot of intelligence to be able to understand, hey, this is on my side of the street, and I want to take responsibility for that. That takes enormous courage and so much intelligence to be able to do that. So all glories to you, Peru. That's amazing. I'm really proud of you. I don't know you, but I hope it's okay to say that. I'm really proud of you. It's really beautiful. And it's shadow work is the best for what you're talking about, because when we're seeing it in others, those qualities, and we're getting triggered, oh, the shadow work that's there. So I've got a really awesome workbook. If you want it, feel free to reach out to me. I've got so many free resources that I would love to share with you guys. Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out if you would like them. And
yeah, that sounds
what about
great.
you? Okay. And what about you, Carlo? You've been here the whole time, both you and Chitananda Peru.
Oh, thank you for everything. I was just thinking that you said that trauma is caused by something happened just too early or too fast for us to understand and process. It's correct to say that trauma is caused by suffering, but also absence of meaning. As we could say that trauma, that meaning and purpose can protect us from trauma if we can find a meaning in suffering.
Yeah,
and I was thinking
it's a really good question.
And I remember that Prabhupada always said that disturbance is due to a want of an ultimate goal.
It's what, sorry? I'm just going to turn
that disturbance is due to a lack of an ultimate goal.
Disturbance is due to a lack of an ultimate goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So your question is it
if
the
meaning and purpose can protect us from
us.
trauma?
Yeah, it's a really good question. You are a philosopher. You totally are. It's take the compliment. So it's basically, we can't really help the meaning that we give it in the moment, because it usually happens from a young age. If it does happen as an adult, again, we can't, because the subconscious mind is like 99% of our consciousness is subconscious. So all we can do is gently bring them over into the conscious mind. And this is where Bhakti is so powerful, because that's what it helps us to do. If that's our intention, again, we do need to have some awareness of what's going on and some intention to do that. But the more, you are right, like you are on point, because it is really about making another meaning. And that's how we can protect ourselves. We can catch it. We can say someone said something and you felt rejected, right? It used to be something that really would get to me, and you felt really rejected. You could go, catching that. I can hear you saying that to yourself. Why are you saying that to me? And then immediately you're challenging it. So you're saying, that's not true. That's not even remotely true. That person's not rejecting me. They're just not able to connect right now, whatever it is. And then you can give yourself so much proof and evidence of how that's not true. And that's, in a sense, how we find a different meaning or a different purpose. So yeah, you are on point, Carlos. Such a great question, a great point. I hope that makes sense.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah, Jai. Thank you guys so much for holding the space this whole time.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. Really, really beautiful. yeah, so I hope that was helpful and something came through, and I would love to create another one where we just focus on transforming it. Like you could come with a particular thing in mind, like a particular challenge in mind, and we could focus on how we can reframe it. Maybe something like that. I'll think about it. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. Some
Okay.
tools, looking at some tools that maybe we could implement when something comes
Yes.
up.
Yeah, because I feel like we created a lot of awareness today, which was definitely my goal. But we can talk about more, particularly if you're fawning, ways that we can, serve and connect without giving our power away. Things like that. I don't know if that's relevant for everyone. Yeah, yes. But yeah, I feel like this is a big one for fawners. This is what we do. We really give our energy and our power away, and we feel very depleted and neglected and abandoned and alone. And
Burnt
Achitana, did you
out.
want to ask? Burn out, exactly. Did you want to ask something, Achitana Prabhu?
I just wanted to add to that, if that's okay. Particularly the topic of fawning as a response, it actually externally seems like it plugs really well into ISKCON, into the philosophy of Bhakti Yoga. You have to be a selfless servant, right? But if you've got this fawning trauma response that you're talking about, where you just want to please everyone around you, that's a one-way ticket to burnout, I think, really quickly, is that you're going to be serving and serving and serving, but you're not actually going to feel like you're growing as a person because you're doing it out of thanks for bringing awareness to that.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I mean, that was my whole bhakti journey, basically, for I think it was about 5 or 6 years that I did that. So I really got a good experience of it. So I definitely understand. And yeah, it is a big one. And again, how we spiritually bypass and how we can bring that power, back to us, because it's like Srila Prabhupada gave us these amazing tools. He's given us this amazing home to live within, and these just phenomenal tools. But yeah, we have to connect. We have to know who we are at a personality level, and then understand what we're giving, what we're offering to Krishna. And that's, a journey in and of itself. It's really, really, really important, for sure. Really good point. So yeah, we can definitely touch on that if it resonates. Yeah, feel free to write to me if you have anything that you specifically want to focus on, because I'm mainly focusing fawning because that's been my experience, and all of my clients, it's been years of narcissistic abuse for them, and so that's really what I support them in healing. So that's what I am more trained in, but I can help and assist with other areas as well. So I guess I should probably let you guys go. It's getting late here. I'm so ecstatic. I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. So happy to connect with you all. But yeah, I guess we should come to a close now.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone that joined, everyone that stayed on this long.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for holding space. Yeah, hopefully in the next session we can also go a little bit more into spiritual bypassing. That would be nice.
Yes, for sure. We
because
didn't
that's
touch on it
massive
so much,
topic also.
It is, and I think it's like that point that Achyutananda Prabhu was saying, like it is connected with bhakti, because that is our philosophy to selflessly serve. But if we don't, if we don't have that sense of self, so yeah, maybe really focusing on tools of how to heal first, and then we can have that come in as well. Yes, if anyone had anything else to say quickly, or if we should go, what do you think, Deva? We're probably all ready to go.
Yeah, if anyone has something last to say, but if not, we can end the meeting here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Emily. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Jai Ho. See you next time. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.